Are you a business looking for a fresh new way to reach potential customers? Well, you need to get airtime on IT TV, a 24/7 streaming and on-demand TV service online and on Roku. With Roku having a potential reach of 62 million people, it's a perfect opportunity to reach potential customers through affordable commercial and infomercial spots. Visit us online today at itnetwork.tv.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifah Hardie, and we have an incredible show for you today. We're going to learn, we're going to laugh, we're going to share our information, our tips, our strategies, and our guidance. You know what I always ask, and that's for you to go ahead and share this show because there's someone in your network who needs this information to be able to learn from the experts. They won't have this information unless you go ahead and share the show with them. And as I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're going ahead and introducing the show to your friends, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first guest, Mr. Peter Hands. Peter has been president of Discovery Map International for 15 years. Prior to that, he was an international investment banker in London and Zurich. Good morning, Peter. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifah. I'm well, thanks. How about you?
I'm excited to learn more about you and what you have going on.
Yeah, so these days, as you say, I operate a company called Discovery Map International, and we make hand-drawn caricature maps in all the best destinations in the U.S. and some in Canada and beyond. And my passion is to travel. I've been lucky enough through the course of my life and my career to travel all over the world. And these days, I like to share that gift with others and help folks get deals and also learn and be inspired about where and when to travel.
Wow, I definitely have some questions for you, but I'm going to come back to you. I want to go ahead and introduce my next guest, the lovely Miss Savannah De Barros. She is a first-generation lawyer, two-time best-selling author, and protector of athletes. De Barros has built a six-figure law firm representing pro athletes from the NFL, MLS, NBA, G League, and pro table tennis sports, and high net worth small business owners, creatives, and employees. De Barros' passion for law is demonstrated through news features like WGN 9 News, CBS Chicago, ABC Channel 7, and a host of podcasts. Welcome, Savannah. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me, and I'm doing great.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
Yeah, so what I do, my bread and butter is the law. I help protect individuals such as business owners and athletes by increasing their bottom line, by increasing their business protection. So that's something I'm super passionate about. As a first generation lawyer and law business owner myself, I understand the inner workings of business and some of the ways that business owners can find themselves in trouble spending thousands and thousands, if not millions of dollars in liability. And so I help them to go and clean that up. And as you stated, I am a best-selling author of two books. One, What Are You Sporting About, which led to my podcast, What Are You Sporting About? And the other, Athletes Making Moves, which is all about the new name, image, and likeness rules, but also how athletes can dip and dive into existent laws to help protect the intellectual property and business relationships that they go into.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. I'm going to come back to you. Just want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, dear friend of mine. This woman is so amazing, Miss Dana Humphrey. She's a respected life coach, publicist, mentor, and teacher. She started a successful PR company for pet product manufacturers in 2007 and has been a guest on TV stations across the country, from NBC to CBS to ABC to Fox News as the Pet Lady. She's going to talk to us today about her new book, May All Beings Be Fed. Good morning, Dana. How are you?
Hey, good morning. So good to be here. Yes, I'm so excited to share my new book. It just came out on January 11th. It's been a long time in the making, and the pandemic gave me a little bit of a chance to get all my thoughts out on paper and make it happen. It's 274 pages. It's available on Amazon, and it's a memoir. It's a story about my life and my travels, and yeah, I'm excited to share it with the world.
Absolutely. Is that what you're passionate about, Dana?
Yeah, I'm passionate about being authentic and being one person, and really having the courage to share my story in hopes that other people will feel comfortable to share theirs.
Absolutely. Got some questions for you, Dana, but I'm going to come back to you. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. Our next guest is from Give a Heck Financial, which was founded by Dwight Heck, who started his career in finance 19 years ago while living paycheck to paycheck as a single dad of 5 children. Welcome, Dwight. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks. So yeah, I am a speaker, author, and coach. And as you mentioned, I've been in the finance industry for 19 years. I own a agency in Canada here. I have a book called Give a Heck, How to Live Life on Purpose and Not by Accident. It has basically been my mission for the last 19 years to help individuals and businesses get off the hamster wheel of life. And what I mean by that is many people today live a life of more months than they have money. And what I mean is that they run out of money and it's 10 days into the month and they're living on lines of credit cards, and they're living a life of quiet desperation, going from paycheck to paycheck and trying to survive. So my passion is ensuring that people don't have to live a life of quiet desperation like I did for more than a decade, being a sole single father of 5 kids.
Hmm. I want to hear more about that. Definitely, Dwight. I just want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Miss Tony Potillo. Currently, Tony is focused on empowered mindset, where she employs the wisdom she has accumulated in her exceptional career to have a genuine impact on her clients. With teachings that are backed by decades of experience and ancient wisdom, there is no one more qualified to coach, lead, inspire, and guide entrepreneurs. Welcome, Tony. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks so much, Sharifah. Um, I'm grateful to be here. I have been in real estate for the last 22 years, and I initially wasn't excited about getting into real estate, but it wasn't until the market crashed and I had an opportunity to support people who were dealing with specific circumstances and really supported them and empowered them to get through the crisis. Um, I have been working in mindset for over 40 years, and I have had the blessing of being able to employ that and implement that in my um, interactions with both real estate professionals as well as my clients, buyers and sellers. And so I've kind of combined the two together. And I'm a mindset coach. I'm an author as well. And I've got a book that's called How to Navigate Your Inherited Home. So um, I've specialized in very specific niches in real estate and in coaching for many, many years. So I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you. We're going to learn a little bit more about you, what you have going on, and what you're doing. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into the conversation. The first question I have is for Peter. Peter, please tell me a little bit more about these maps because it reminds me of a conversation my dad is telling me all the time. He's like, you can't just have a GPS. You have to get a Thomas guide. And I'm like, Dad, if I had a Thomas guide, I wouldn't even know how to read the Thomas guide. So maybe that's just me. So what can people do with your maps?
Yeah, it's interesting. GPS and Google Maps and Apple Maps and all those things are amazing developments, innovations in the last, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, which makes getting to place to place much easier. You can have more confidence driving and so forth. Our maps are really for a different purpose. They're more local. They're once you arrive in an area, they're free to pick up, and you'll see them around town at our various advertisers and high traffic locations. And they're meant to help folks find out what's going on around them, kind of a wayfinder, if you will. And so we have advertisers on the map that might, and typically businesses that visitors would want to patronize, restaurants, retail shops, things to do, that kind of stuff. So and they're caricature drawn. They're kind of distinctive looking. You might have seen them over the years. And as I say, they're free to pick up. So they're good for their purpose, which, by the way, as I say, is not navigation from A to B.
Okay, I
Peter, I have a question.
Sure, Dana, go ahead.
So I'm going to Fort Lauderdale next week to do hot yoga teacher training, and I'm going to be like having some free time. Can I look at this discovery maps to see what to do in the area?
You can visit our website. We don't currently have a map, sadly, in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
We have a bunch in the south and the west coast of Florida, and St. Augustine, and where else? I can't think of all the ones in Florida. But right at the moment, we don't have one in Fort Lauderdale. But check out the website. It'll give you some inspiration and some ideas.
Cool.
Do you have any in Long Beach, California?
Let's see. My California geography is not good. We have one in Santa Monica, I believe, and we will have one soon in Huntington Beach. But those are our ones on the coast right now.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make one in Long Beach, and it's just gonna be all about Sharifah. Okay.
Okay, let's make that happen.
Get back to me now, Dana. Tell us about this hot yoga. You just slipped that right in there.
Yeah, I've been practicing hot yoga for about the last 5 years, and I'm taking the leap. I'm doing the hot yoga teacher training at with Jimmy Barkin at the Barkin Method down in Fort Lauderdale. It's a 200-hour teacher training, and we used to call it Bikram. Basically, it's hot yoga. It's a series of 26 postures and 2 breath movements. So we call it 26 and 2. If some of you may be familiar with the name Bikram. He kind of got into some trouble in a lot of different countries, and so now we call it 26 and 2. But it's a beautiful series of yoga. It's originates from India, and I'm really passionate about it. That is something I'm really passionate about. I practice every day. I just came from hot yoga this morning. I think it's good for everything. Like any problem you have, I'm like, oh, I think you should try hot yoga. Like, if you have sleep issues, if you you have back pain, if you have just worry, like stress and worry, like I really think that it helps your body, mind, and spirit in so many ways, and I'm hooked. So I'm excited to share it with more people.
Dana, I have a couple questions. So how hot, first of all, what's the temperature typically? And also the 26 and 2, is it always the same sequencing, or do you mix it up as you go?
Yeah, I do the same 26 postures every single day. Mm-hmm. And it's 101 degrees.
Holy cow.
Wow. Savannah, do you have anyone on your roster that does hot yoga?
I don't, not that I know of.
Does that count as an athlete? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. Is that athletics?
I don't know anything about that.
That it's great for athletes. Great for athletes to stretch the hamstrings and just like juice the joints.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I've never done it. I don't know anyone that does it.
Okay, we might have to try it out. Tony, you ready for some hot yoga?
It's too hot for me. I've tried it. It's too hot, but I am a yogi and I do a lot of yogi, more sound mudras and postures, and I do a lot of sound meditation.
Okay, as a mindset coach, is that something you would recommend?
Sure, absolutely. I recommend any type of physical work with the body, the mind, the spirit. I'm a high proponent of sound meditation as well, sound and breath. A lot of breath work.
Very interesting. Dwight, how you doing over there?
Fantastic. And yes, I do know somebody that does hot yoga. My one daughter absolutely loves it and has been doing it for about 12 years, I think. She's a registered nurse, so she is a lot for stress relief. and obviously for pains and aches from the, just the drama and stress of the job.
You haven't gone with her?
No, I don't like extreme heat. Thank you.
Okay. I'm trying to see if I can get some people to join you, Dana. It doesn't seem to be working.
You know what? I got my dad to come with me for a whole week once. He did not know what he was getting himself into. I'm like, come on, Dad, let's go. He's like, oh, we're going to the gym. I'm like, well, yeah, it's kind of like the gym.
It wasn't like the gym. It wasn't
I
like
mean,
the gym.
You don't need any socks and shoes.
Because it's over 100 degrees. I can imagine. So we'll go back over to you, Savannah. Since you don't want to do the high yoga, get any type of clients like that, why athletes? Why you feel the need to be a protector of athletes?
Well, it's not the need. It's just something that I am. So I started out being the protector of business owners, and a title that I didn't know I had until listening to some of my clients talk and refer me to other people and discuss how I go about protecting their interest. But I'm also a former athlete myself, and I hate saying former because I feel like once an athlete, always an athlete. Miss Tony was talking about the mind and the body, and when you're exposed to sports or athleticism in any kind of way, there's something magical that happens with your mind or your mindset. And some people can get into a situation where after sports, they don't know who they are, or they don't know what they want to do. It's somewhat of the same thing with people who've never been an athlete but own a business, right? You may be doing something because you felt like this is what you needed to do, or you may not be doing it because maybe you've gotten lost in who you are based on the titles that you carry. And so I call myself a protector of athletes, essentially for the purpose of making sure that athletes understand and know how to rebuild their identity, so that it serves them, it serves their purpose, so that they can begin again to dream, but also being able to put all the things that they've learned into play to help them map out the future that they once desired for themselves. I strongly believe that a lot of individuals, regardless of your status, have forgotten to dream, which is one of the reasons why I wrote this book, What Are You Sporting About? Because I wanted to bring people back to the basics. I recently spoke about recalibrating, and recalibrating meaning pulling yourself back from a situation that has detoured you from doing what your first love was, or from working on the goals that you said that you had for yourself. And so the only way that we can do that is to make sure that we bring ourselves back to the drawing board, get back to the basics of what we love, find the things that anchor us, like our family or a particular passion or purpose project, and that will help us to do what we need to do. And so that's one of the reasons why I call myself the protector of athletes. It's not always about the dollar figure. It's about people who are in your corner to help you succeed in every way possible.
Very interesting. I love to hear your thoughts, Tony, on what Savannah had to say.
Well, I believe that it is very important for people to be able to tap into their genius. And that it's more than a mindset thing. It's really tapping into your passion. And yes, when you have athletes who have been labeled, so to speak, it is very important for them to be able to get in touch with who they are, and to be able to really be connected to source. This is something that not just athletes, but human beings, we have to get in touch with who we are, and we have to stay true to our passion. Many people are in motion and doing things that they think they need to do because it's what they need to do to generate income, or what they should be doing to be loyal to their families or their community. But at the end of the day, whatever it is we do, it needs to be our passion. We need to be excited about it. We need to be moved by it. And if we can monetize that, great. But first and foremost, we got to get to know who we are. So
Absolutely. Dwight, love to hear your thoughts about being moved to do what you're passionate about.
Well, the biggest thing in life, you have to have passion, because so many people in life don't have passion or a purpose. So they're always striving to get materialistic goals in life. They might aspire to go on a trip a year from now, or they want to buy a car next year, and they focus all their energies on the destination or the product, that service that they want, that they forget to enjoy the journey of life. And the journey of life is living right now, this moment. Being present with you guys is personally a passion. It's a passion to connect with people and other people. And I'm not worried about what happens an hour from now or a year from now. I'm worried about, what am I trying to achieve right now in this moment with those surrounding me? And even if I'm by myself, what is my purpose in life? And for me, my purpose is to basically give a heck and help others do the same, to get off that hamster wheel and be able to climb and never be stuck again.
So what does it mean to give a heck?
Well, pretty much my whole life, I struggled and had different challenges in my life where I didn't feel like people gave a heck about me. And I felt like I was alone. And I could be in a room of 100 people and feel like I was the only individual in that room, scared and silent. And I didn't really understand the rules of life. I didn't understand the rules of the money game as I got older. And I ended up being on like the hamster wheel of life, like most people, going to work, go home, get paid. So I wanted to teach people that, no matter what you go through in life, no matter how long you've been camped in life, you too can climb out of that circumstance with some proper mentorship and coaching, and learn how to give a heck. So I myself have a podcast, and that's what I specifically do, is I interview people that have struggled in life, have risen to the top of their chosen profession, and they teach with passion, and they go out and help others give a heck as well. So I do that myself, but I also look for great people so that my listeners and people that watch can, aspire to climb and not be stuck, and learn how to give a heck for once in their life and get off that hamster wheel.
I love it. I love it. Savannah, do you feel like you're someone who gives a heck?
I know I am, but but I know that's oh, I'm sorry, what was his name? Dwight. I know that's his motto. So mine is more around, what are you sporting about, which is more of a purpose conversation. So a lot of people, when they see the title or they see my podcast, they automatically think, sporting? It must be something with sports. Yes, I'm talking to athletes because part of my niche in law is athletes in business. But the entire conversation is around purpose. And so one of the things that both he and Miss Tony talked about, the way I sum it up, is in alignment. Are the things that you're doing in alignment with your purpose, with what it is that you truly desire to do? Or are you pedaling around just, in the motion to appease other people? And that's where we get caught up at. That's how people wake up 20, 30 years from now and are extremely depressed, have no idea who they are or what they should do. All of their identity is wrapped around, being a parent or being consumed to a job. There was a statistic that I found when I was preparing for a different webinar, and I can't remember it quite offhand, but I think it was somewhere around about 70% of people would say that their identity comes from their job, like their job title. And that's a big number. Anything that is a number, because your job is just something that you do, right? And so if we're looking at over majority of individuals in this country, in America, who is of working age and have been in corporate America for some years, there's a huge misstep there. There's something that has gone completely wrong for individuals to believe that their job is who they are, right? There's a extreme shift that needs to be made. And so it really makes me think about why and how most Americans are so unhappy. You know, if you
Mm.
look at other countries and how they treat their workers, the way that they take their vacations, the time that they get off with their children. I mean, people, when they go on vacation, I think they get like 2 or 3 months holiday. You go on
Right.
vacation in Europe and it's in the middle of the day, the shop is closed for 2 hours because they're having family time.
Right.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Yeah. But America has this culture where you just work, but you can never catch up. And for some reason, the bottom line with people have gotten so misshifted to the point that they have been so consumed by this work culture that they feel like that is exactly who they are, when in fact they're not. And so how can you truly live in your purpose if what has been told to you, or the way that you've been groomed, so to speak, has only been for purposes of trying to work in this country to do whatever, you know, to make the country better, make your family better, but it's not who you are. You can't make any kind of impact that way.
Right. Right. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what Savannah had to say, Peter.
Yeah, I think that's right. We all it's funny. I spent a fair bit of my adult career in Europe, and I totally agree that Europeans have a better model for career and for work. And oh, by the way, I think they also get an awful lot done. It's not a question of staying in the office till 10 o'clock at night to meet the deadline tomorrow. There's another way, and you can still accomplish a lot by doing more than just being on the hamster wheel, to coin that phrase. I think that we can only really excel at what we do if we're passionate about what we do. And not everyone is lucky enough to find a career where they really care about what they do, and it makes them shine. But that's my view. I think that young folks who are out there, I have children in college. I always tell them, look for what you're passionate about. Don't choose a career path until you really know what it is that makes you happy. Because working for a living, it pays the rent, but it's not fun if you're not enjoying it. You spend so much of your time in life working, you might as well have some fun while you're doing it.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree. Dana, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I love the way Savannah is talking about identity. And I think this is huge. It's a huge topic. It's like we all have these labels that we put on ourselves, that we put on each other of who we are, like mother, daughter, publicist. There's so many labels and titles that we have. And it's like, especially I can see her point of view with athletes. It's like, to get so attached to this identity that then shifts and changes. Like, if you're a, basketball player, you can't play when you're old, right? It's like a young people's thing. And so to have this idea like, oh, I'm a basketball player and that's who I am and that's what I am, like to have the grace and the flexibility to be able to say like, wait, who am I without that? What if I hurt my knee and I can't play basketball anymore? Who am I now? What am I interested in? What am I passionate about? What's my life? And, when we talk about this like dream job, we're just idealizing capitalism. And it's like our life doesn't have to be, or who we are doesn't have to be our career track. It doesn't have to be the label of our job that we've had because that's what we, took on an aptitude test way back when. I've really been on kind of a quest for like getting rid of the labels in my own life and discovering who I am for myself. And one of the, things that I do is also death doula work. And what that really is helping people transition. Maybe they have 6 months to live and to transition into the dying process. And a lot of times, actually, people are held on to their story really tightly about the football player that they were when they were 24. And it's like, they're 90, they're 95 now. And they still have this like really tight grasp on this like really old story of themselves. And the sooner we can grieve those stories and identities as they end and morph and transition, the more we can live in ease in our lives. And, I recently heard a story about this guy in New Zealand. He's a sheep keeper, and he has like a flock of sheep, and he like hangs out. I guess he's a shepherd. He hangs out with them, and someone asked him, you know, so do you have stress in your life? And he thought about it for about half an hour, and he's like, well, yeah, every once in a while, one of my sheep gets away and I have to find it. And it's like, wow, to imagine like that's the stress that could possibly happen. Like here in the United States, I think we're just constantly under stress of like, oh, am I meeting my goals? Am I, am I living up to this standard of identity that I've created for myself? And to have that awareness, I think just helps us all live like more fulfilled, more harmoniously, so we can have fun every day. We can not take ourselves so seriously.
Yes, definitely. Point from the audience. Eddie says, however, older people are reinventing themselves more than ever. Yes, definitely agree. Miss Tony, love to hear your thoughts on reinvention in the conversation.
It's a very interesting concept about reinventing yourself, because more importantly, I don't know, I think a lot of us, particularly since the pandemic, we've had to reinvent ourselves, and we've had to learn how to think differently, how to be differently. We have this narrative, and with the narrative, we are in a position, little do most of us know, to create what it is we want. What you speak, you create. What you focus on expands. And so I know, I recently had a spinal surgery, and as much of a mind coach as I am, I was able to prepare myself for the surgery, and I've been going through this recovery process. But it, to be honest with you, I had to change my narrative on this healing process, because instead of me focusing on what I wanted to avoid or what I don't want or getting out of pain, I needed to change my narrative to be in the future completely healed and completely living exactly how I want to be living from a physical perspective. So, this whole idea of reinventing yourself, I think, is very applicable. And for all of us who, I don't know anybody who hasn't experienced some sort of change over these last several years. Now, there's been change and there's been challenge, but this is where it's critical for us to maintain our spiritual hygiene, if you would. It's critical for us to really be conscious of our thoughts, our language, our dialogue, and really be present. Be present to what's the power that we have within each other, inside of each of us. We are absolutely creators, and we're one with Source. So when we understand that dynamic, there's so much power there, and there's also so much comfort there, and you're able to build your confidence when you discover who you really are, and when you really learn how to tap into your inner self, your inner being. So that's my 2 cents on reinventing.
Can I comment on that?
Absolutely.
Because I absolutely love what you were saying, Miss Tony, when you said about like we have the ability to create, and I think spiritually from that perspective, because the Most High is a creator. Like, everything that we see with our own eyes had to be created in some way. And so the things that we do, I mean, even this show was created by somebody. My business was created by somebody. You guys can see one of my children's books on the wall. That was created. We have this innate power to constantly create. And like Ms. Tony said, we have to change the narrative. I recently had, this is probably on my podcast, but I was talking about beliefs and the way that we think, right? And there's a scientific study that says that 80% of our thoughts are negative, 95% of our thoughts are repetitive. And so if we have that power to constantly create and shift and change the narrative that we have either been brought into, that we've accepted to be our own. What will happen if we can change that 80% of negative beliefs? What if we can flip that on its head and then repeat those as positive thinking or positive beliefs or shifting in our own lives? I mean, we could be living way more fulfilling and fruitful lives than where we may be currently, right? And so, yes, we've been forced into a situation where many people have had to pivot. But if there was not a global pandemic, ask yourself, would you then, or even now, would you go against the grain to do what you know you have been created to do? And sometimes I feel like folks you're only reaping what you sow, right? Because you know that there is a will and a possibility for you to do something greater, but sometimes it's that negative thinking that makes you feel like you're incapable of rising to the occasion, but you are. And it starts with you. It starts with that ability and a different mindset around what your narrative is. And congratulations, Miss Tony, for overcoming all that you have so far. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I'd like to add something to that too. You talked about the fact of, a couple of you talked about the fact of what we say to ourselves, and that is so important. And prior to the pandemic, or even during the pandemic, one of the things I coach on a lot with my life coaching business is people's associations. And what's the first thing that pops into people's minds when you say associations? They think of people. But when we're trying to be good wordsmiths and telling ourselves positive things, what are we putting into our brain prior to that? What are we reading? What are we watching in regards to the media? And the problem isn't just the people we associate with. We have to stop associating with, if we're in a bad mood, why are we listening to bad music? Why are we listening to sad shows or reading or listening to even sad podcasts? Why are we not listening to things that are going to uplift and change our 6 inches between our ears so that we can elevate how we feel on a daily basis and continue to climb? A lot of the times our problems is the associations of what we plug into our brain on a daily basis. And yes, the people around us are huge, but a lot of times there's not people around you all the time. So, just like the old saying goes too, if you would tell your friend something negative and would you tell them that? And people will say, well, no, I probably wouldn't. Well, then why do you tell yourself negative things? It's the same thing. So we have to learn positive self-talk through changing our associations of what we ingest into our brain every single day.
Very interesting. I want to go over to Peter, because one of the things you focus on is travel. So I'm pretty sure over the past few years, you had to reinvent yourself to recreate your idea of your master plan in regards to travel.
Oh, yeah, so true, so true. All of us, right? I mean, for me, it's my business and my livelihood, but all of us, we've been so constrained for the last 2 or so years. And I think the collective consciousness of Americans and probably everyone on the planet is really burdened by this terrible pandemic. It inhibits our travel. It inhibits our social relationship. It really informs a lot of how we think and how we feel. I've been an optimist through the thing and hopeful that it would end. And I remain that way. I really feel like we're near the end of it. And yeah, I hope that I and others will be able to get out and do the things that they enjoy with less inhibition going forward.
What are some of the things you did with Discovery Map in order to pivot during this time frame?
Well, we hunkered down. We reduced staff hours. We went from 5 days a week to 4 days a week. Of course, we have an office, but everyone's scattered, right? When it all started, everyone started working from home. And 2 years on, we have about 60% of our staff back, but the rest still working from home. So yeah, like most others, I think we've had to change the way we do things. Some all by necessity, but some are actually have benefited us. We've learned to adapt to the climate, and I can imagine that many of the things we've had to do will remain long after the pandemic goes.
Mm-hmm. Many business owners say that some of the changes and modifications they made will remain. Dana, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I love what Tony was saying. It's like what we speak, we create. There's a phrase called abracadabra, which means exactly that. And it sounds like magic, and life is magic, and it is like, yeah, what we desire, what we express, what we create, whether we're conscious of it or not, is what we experience. And Sharifah and I know each other because I've been a marketer for the last 15 years, and I had a moment during the pandemic. I was living in Guatemala. I got stuck in paradise down there, and shaved my head. And I used to have long hair as a reminder to myself to not be a marketer anymore. I just made a decision to pivot and change and reinvent myself, to no longer spend my life force energy sending emails for other people on behalf of other people, and to really like find joy every day, and do my yoga and do the things that really make me happy, and just trust that the rest will work itself out. And here we are, 2022. And I'm not taking any more PR clients on. I'm like focused on the book. I'm focused on my yoga work, and just kind of creating space for what's next, and really giving myself some space to kind of feel into what I want to create next. Because I know that I'm a powerful creator, and that anything's possible.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be fed, Dana?
Okay, so the title of my book, May All Beings Be Fed, is about really dropping resistance. That's really what it's about. The title came from a story in the book there. Basically, I was sitting on a porch. I was at a retreat in upstate New York, and my friend and I were getting eaten by mosquitoes. And he offered me this expression, may all beings be fed. And if I allow the mosquitoes to get what they need, get fed from my blood, they need something from me. If I choose to allow them to do that and not be bothered by it, then it actually it's the resistance that creates the itchy bug bites. So since I've changed my perspective on this, I allow the mosquitoes to eat me, and I don't have any bug bites. I don't have any reaction. And so that's really the point of it. It's like, how can we live in harmony with each other so everyone gets what they need, and just not have the resistance, not have the reaction. That's the point of it. There's some deeper meanings as well of I guess
so everybody gets what they need. I think that's the gist.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Savannah,
Dana, did you really not react to the mosquito bites after you stopped resisting?
Right. Yeah. I know it's hard for some people to believe, but I don't have bug bites anymore.
That's the power of changing that narrative. When you change the narrative, you have the power to change it all. And then suddenly, we see people who have gone through really traumatic accidents or whatever, and their mind, you literally have the ability to shift your state, and that's what's so powerful. But the majority of us do not think it's possible for us to shift our narrative, change our mindset, and make a difference with our condition and our state of being. So it's powerful.
I think that's because so many of us have been living with this concept of cognitive dissonance for so long.
Yeah.
Where we've been taught to believe or think a certain thing, and then we've been taught to act. But there's a disalignment somewhere. And so when you find yourself in a position where you really decide, you truly believe, and your heart is in alignment, you're absolutely magical. Like, I'm listening to you, Dana, talk about mosquitoes. I'm from Florida. I can't deal with mosquitoes Maybe that's a mindset issue that I need to work on, but I cannot deal with with mosquitoes. But something magical for me happened in the beginning of this year because I know how creative I am. I know what I love to do. I know how passionate I am about my work. And I have gone throughout the years like, okay, I know I should be a millionaire. But there was so much disconnect between me knowing that that was possible versus me knowing that that's going to happen. Right. And so once I realized that that was just so clear as night and day to me, I began to shift my day to make sure that everything that I was doing was in alignment and would give me the space to actually become a millionaire. And that's where we can start to shift between that cognitive dissonance that we found ourselves in versus doing the things that are going to help us to truly achieve what our dear heart desire really is.
Mm, absolutely. Dwight, I love to hear your thoughts on being a millionaire and putting your mindset.
Well, my thoughts on being a millionaire. Somebody talked about it earlier too. What we think of expands within our mindset. So if there's something that you want, you need to actually plan for it. I do a lot of goal setting with people, and I literally goal set for them. What do they want today? I tell them what your life should be about: living a life that's comfortable today, retiring in comfort, and passing with dignity. But it takes planning. So if you want to be a millionaire, you want to be successful, you have to put things down on paper, and then you have to do three things. I focus life on ABC. You have to take action toward what you want to achieve. If your believability isn't 100% sound, the more action you take, the greater your belief will be in what you're trying to achieve. And if that journey is to be a millionaire, what steps along that way do you need to take action so that your belief is strong? And then the last thing that's so important on the journey of achieving anything, whether it's being a millionaire or just achieving the fact of going on a vacation or aspiring to own a hot tub, for an example, is you must be consistent in your daily actions. You must have intent, and those intentions don't have a day on them. They must have consistency again. And you don't, for me, I don't believe in Monday to Sunday. I don't live a 7-day, this is what it is. There's lots of days I forget what day it is because my intent is what I am looking to achieve. I put the things in place. I do my ABCs, my action, belief, consistency. And I don't say today is Sunday, I'm taking it off. I may attend mass, but it doesn't mean I won't work in the afternoon. Right? It doesn't mean that it's a Saturday that I'm not going to interject family time in there, but I also know that I have goals I want to achieve, so I must stay consistent and do that on a daily basis.
Very interesting. Peter, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the ABCs.
I like it. I mean, for me, I think the biggest challenge would be the B, would be to believe. And I'm setting a goal now, and I'm going to act toward that goal. But I imagine that the biggest hurdle in achieving that kind of paradigm is creating the belief. You know what I mean? To kind of keep on working the action to create the belief. Yeah, and I guess that comes to being consistent about it, not giving up, not stopping.
Miss Tony, love to hear your thoughts on the ABCs.
I just know that when we get clear about what we want, and this goes back to really trusting. There's a lot of people who say they believe and they trust and they have faith, but yet they don't believe. They don't have it's kind of a it's weird because people will say that I have faith, I'm optimistic, I trust, but yet when it comes down to going after something, they get stuck in the how. And I have a very strong belief, if you would, that as long as you know what you want and why, then you have to turn over the how. You have to turn over the how to your source, to the universe, to God, whatever it is that you believe in. But you really have to let go, surrender, if you would. And it doesn't mean that you don't plan. I do agree 100% that you have to be intentional. You have to have planning. You have to, you have to work your way towards what it is that you're looking to achieve. But sometimes we can get in our own way, and that's because we're trying to figure out the how of it. But that boils into a whole nother dialogue about your genius and understanding what your profile is. And for some people, their profiles must understand the how, because they're very detail oriented, they're systems oriented, and it it that's how their brain is wired. But like I say, if I'm super clear, clarity is power. If I'm super clear about what I want and why, that why is critical. Then get out of the way and allow, this is where then you start doing your personal development work. This is where you get consistency every day when you're working on yourself, getting clear about what you want and why. And then you allow the universe to work out the details. That's my take on it.
That's the world according to Miss Tony. I love it. I love it. This has been an amazing show. We went all over the place, a lot of different directions, but that's what we do here on the Roundtable Talk Show. We are coming down to the last few minutes of the show, and what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who is watching in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Ms. Dana.
All right. Well, I can't agree more with what Tony just shared. I just have a quick story. I'm working on an art project right now, and it's called Pushing My Buttons, and it involves a mannequin. And so I got a mannequin. I couldn't figure it out. I was like wrestling with the mannequin. And then I got another mannequin, and I couldn't figure out how to get it to stand up. And I was like calling the place I got the mannequin from. And they're like, well, you just need to, talk to a mannequin expert. And then I had this moment of like despair, like, oh, great. How am I going to find a mannequin expert, right? Getting stuck in the how. And literally the next day, it's COVID. I'm not having a lot of people over. The next day, I have a cleaning person. She came over and she's like, oh, what's all these mannequins? I'm a mannequin expert. And it's like, oh, yes. Like just back to trust. So I just want to leave with everybody my favorite quote. It's don't copy the world. Be a different person with a fresh newness in all you do and think. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Dwight, what do you have for people today?
What do I have for people today? Well, I have the ability to instill in people that they can give a heck, because I program them and I program myself on a daily basis to understand that fear doesn't exist, that you can get away from having ever a bad day. And what I mean by that is people say to me, well, you got to have bad days. And I say to them, no, I don't. I have bad moments within my day. And then I have specific timeout things where, most kids can't stand being timed out. As an adult, I love timing myself out. If my thinking between my ears is stinking, I time myself out so that I can actually be more present in the moments of the rest of the day so that I never have a bad day. And I believe in taking fear, and I use fear as an acronym. Every time I'm scared about something, I say to myself, what does fear mean to me? It means face everything and rise. And I literally change my state of moment right then and there. And I continue to move on my day so that I can consistently give a heck. Because if I don't give a heck, how can I give a heck about others and help them elevate and climb and not be camped in life?
Interesting. Fear. We have a lot of acronyms from Dwight. Peter, what would you like the people to take away from your appearance here today?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Dwight for that fear, because I think that's a great acronym, and I will definitely use that in the future. I came to the party talking about travel. I think a lot of the discussion went to mindfulness and being our own selves. And for me, that's what I get from travel, right? You can learn new cultures. You can experience natural beauty. You can witness man-made beauty. It's a great way to grow. And like I said earlier, we're all kind of hamstrung these days from doing the things we love, like traveling, but hopefully soon we'll be able to get back out there and do the things we love. And if folks want to travel, visit our website, discoverymap.com, and hopefully we can inspire some good journeys for you.
Yes, because we're going to have a journey to Long Beach.
That's right.
Miss Tony, what would you like people to take away from your appearance?
Oh, everything happens for a reason, even when it doesn't feel good. So we need to cherish every moment. We need to get super clear about our purpose, our why, our what, not the how. Just get super clear about that. But be mindful of the fact that we are creators. We are one with source, and what you think, so it is. What you speak, be careful with the words that you say. People are really loosey-goosey with the words that come out of their mouth. They don't even realize sometimes what they're saying. So be mindful of what you speak. In the beginning was the word. And so you really want to be mindful for what you speak. You can hurt someone and you can empower someone, all with your words. So everything happens for a reason. And you're one with source. So stay close to yourself and continue to work on yourself.
Thank you. Miss Savannah, what would you like people to take away?
I don't know how you can put me behind Miss Tony.
I put you behind everyone.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Look, so I just want to inspire you guys to understand. If you don't know yet, go and figure out what you are sporting about. Sporting in life is not just for athletes. We are all athletes of life, and we're all sporting about something. So figure out what that is. Go back to the drawing board. Find your dreamer. What were the things that made you happy and gave you a sense of purpose before? And I want to leave you guys with this, because we all have the control to create and do what we want in our lives. And how you can do that is have your own say. Trademark pending. Have your say, SAE. Shift your mindset for success. Everything is not going to look like the next person, but we have the ability to create our own success. You can achieve through accountability. Don't look at the other person for why you are in the place that you're in. What did you do to get there? And what can you do or lean on? Who can you lean on to help you to make better decisions for your future? And excel with education, education is not just in a traditional sense of sitting in a classroom, right? Of how most of us know, but like Ms. Tony was saying, like, understand thyself. Take moments to be alone, be with yourself, understand what makes you happy, understand
those moments when it just stops, it gets so good that nothing else needs to be said. Now, I want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. And I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, as well as everyone who is watching in the archives. I definitely appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you sharing. But as always, the most important thing to me is that you support our guests. Our guests are here this morning to support you, to share their stories, their information, their tips, guidance with you. So please support them. Pick up a couple of copies of their book. Visit their websites. Follow them on social media. Reach out to them. Send them a message. And when you do, please let them know Sharifah Hardie says hi. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at AskSharifah.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe and a blessed